Hey, we're live. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Matt.
We're live.
That's good.
This chair. Feels like it's falling down a little bit. Hey, everybody. We're on.
We're on what? TV?
Yeah, Facebook. On the book face.
That's cool.
Let's see. Gonna open this up.
Matt.
Let's see.
That's good.
Gonna mute that. Let's go ahead and share this mug. Share now. Boom. Share to a page. To the Matt Moscona page. Boom. Boom. Put it up on Twitter. Copy. Boom. Boom. The Riot podcast is live. Watch. Boom. Boom. Boom.
That was easy.
Got to get this fixed to where people can watch it live on YouTube and on Twitter and all that stuff too. So it's not just on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, do that. You'd be good at that. Yeah,
That's whenever we go international.
Oh, they were huge.
Huge. Let's see. Who's watching already? Anybody watching yet? Tommy Howard, Shelby Kelly, Todd Dupuis, Paul O'Neill, Matthew Rogelio, Trivia Carter, James Tyrone, Andrew Bayer. How about that? We're ready. All right, we ready?
Yep.
This is the Riot podcast.
Oh, wait, hang on. The volume's really low. Start over. Hold on. All right. You ready? Here we go.
This is the Riot podcast with Matt Moscona and Ryan Terrio. One is an athlete, the other an athletic supporter. Follow the guys on Twitter at Matt Moscona and at rterrio7. Here's Matt and Ryan.
Okay, let's do it. Riot Podcast. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Henry Homes, custom home builder. I'm Matt. He's Ryan. Yeah, Brett.
Hey, man. What's happening?
Brain freezes suck, man. Got a smoothie. I went over to physical therapy today. Had surgery last Friday on my knee. Started PT today. Was up in traction earlier. And I had to hurry to get over here.
Traction physical therapy.
Yep. Correct. Mm-hmm. Had to hurry to get over here to do this podcast. By the way, if you're listening, we record the podcast noon Central Time, typically on Tuesdays. This is a Wednesday this week, though, because yesterday we had stuff.
You were lazy.
Actually, I had to go to a funeral.
Okay, never mind. You weren't lazy.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're doing it today, but so I had to hurry over here for noon, and I was like, man, I hadn't eaten anything, so I stopped and got a smoothie, and I'm drinking the smoothie, and I got a brain freeze.
Brain freezes stink, especially with something like a smoothie, because that's a meal. Like you're trying to eat it.
Yeah.
They're not terrible with like an icy. That's when I used to experience my best brain freezes with the icy, because it's not a meal. It's almost a treat. So you can kind of go with it.
I still don't want it.
What I found stops the brain freeze is when you push the roof of your mouth.
Doesn't work.
It works for me.
Don't work for me. You know what does work, though? I'll tell you this. When I was a kid, do you remember what was the place over there in Drusilla that was like had arcades and chocolate shakes and hamburgers? Oh, come on. In that Drusilla Shopping Center in Baton Rouge.
Arcade?
Hoppers. Do you remember Hoppers?
I do remember Hoppers. I love that place. I don't remember the arcade, though.
Well, they had arcade games and stuff. Anyway, Hoppers. So one time, me, my dad, my Uncle Kenny, and my cousin Mark were at the YMCA Indian Guides, and then we had an event. We went to Hoppers, the four of us.
Okay.
And I'm drinking my chocolate malt, right, in the big frozen glass. You know what I mean?
Crushing it.
The big, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep,
the big,
yeah.
And my Uncle Kenny told me this. He's like, if you grab with both hands the glass, the cold glass, it gets rid of your brain freeze. And it does.
That's not true.
It does, because it transfers the cold sensation into a different part of your body. It instantaneously. Now you need a glass.
So you could put it on any part of your body It doesn't have to be your hands.
I don't know. Maybe it's like sensory stuff with the hands. I have no idea. But like there was some science behind that where I'll be darned.
And it worked.
It worked.
I'm going to try it.
But make sure it's a glass. It's really like a frozen glass. You know they would get at Hoppers, they give you those malts where you could turn. They come to your table, they turn it upside down to show how thick it was because it wouldn't come out of the cup. One of those.
I loved Hoppers. Hoppers was great. I totally forgot about that place. That place was good.
How about that? All right. So we'll do Kick Rocks in a little bit. We'll get to your questions for the Ask Us. I do want to talk about the Major League Baseball wild card round. The first game of the wild card was last night. Second game of the wild card is tonight, if you're listening to us here on this Wednesday. It's only fair, though, that as we start, the biggest topic in really all of sports right now is the Fair Pay to Play Act in California. And I don't want to – we've talked so much about this already that I'm fearing some people are going to start to get fatigued with the topic, and that's going to happen eventually. But as it continues to develop, I think it's worth discussing. And I'd like, as a former student athlete, I'd like your thoughts on it.
Well, you've got till 2023 for this thing to actually happen. So is it going to be beat to death and talked about? Absolutely. I mean, I think this is only the beginning. You know, I am all for college athletes having what they need, right? I don't think they should want. The college athlete worked his or her butt off from a very young age to obtain a scholarship and be able to go play in college. You know, whether it be they were motivated because they wanted to be pros or whether they just wanted to go to that college and play, which happens in a lot of scenarios, they spent hours upon hours. Parents spent tons of money to get them in that situation. I just had this discussion with my father-in-law about soccer. He says, how's your week going? I said, well, Monday night soccer, Tuesday night soccer, Wednesday night soccer, Thursday night soccer, Friday night soccer, Saturday game, Sunday game. And he started laughing. He's like, are they going to play professional soccer? I said, probably not. But they would like to play in college. He said, do you think they can? I said, I don't know, but I don't want to be that guy that had the means and the availability to give them better and then didn't do it. My point in saying that is you've invested so much, so at some point you would like to see it pay off.
Is the college scholarship paying off, though?
For 99% of them, that payoff is the college scholarship, right? There's a 1% of those athletes have the opportunity to go and make a career out of their sport that they chose. Okay. All that being said, I'll speak from my experience at LSU because I can't talk about anybody else's. I don't think that it's fair for me to say what's right or wrong for any other player or any other athlete. But the way I looked at it, Matt, my payment for all that hard work was putting on the purple and gold. There wasn't a financial. It was never money motivated until I was a professional, and I grew up in Baton Rouge, going to games at Alex Box Stadium. So there was a pride aspect there, a gratification of putting on the uniform that the guys before me did. So that was my reward. You know, the scholarship, the ability to have a free education was great, but with TOPS in Louisiana, I mean that can happen academically pretty easily. I mean, you know, it's not impossible or out of the realm of possibility to do that. So, you know, if you would have told me, you know, 18-year-old Ryan in 1999 that, hey, we're going to pay you an extra couple $1,000 a month or whatever it may be just to get you by, dude, I would have felt like I was rich. Like I didn't need that money. You know, my meals were taken care of, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and any snacks that I needed. Housing was taken care of. I had to provide transportation for myself, but not really because there's a bus system at LSU and I had a vehicle before, but there was a bus system and I was relatively close to campus, so it got me to and from. The baseball team provided not only your uniforms, but shorts, T-shirts, anything you wanted to wear to class, right? And I've heard the argument, well, what if you want to go out on a date or go out and well, you're not there to go out on a date or go out. You're there to play baseball. They're paying you to do that, you know? So or at least in my case it was. I don't know what I would have done with it.
Okay, so I understand all that. I don't think you answered the question because this isn't a question of should student athletes get more from the university. That's not the question. That's not what this is about. This isn't about should the NCAA or University Athletic Administrations pay student athletes. That is not what this is. So don't get that twisted. Like, this is important because I think a lot of people are missing this point. Everything you just said is fine, and that was your experience, and I'm sure a lot of people have had a similar experience. And there's a lot of student athletes that have had very different experiences, where maybe they didn't have an allegiance to a team, where they just saw athletics as a means to an end. Okay. This has nothing to do with whether or not you are going to get more money or want more from the university or what you do with it. The question is, if in 2001, when Ryan Theriot was a junior at LSU, he's won a national championship, scored the game-winning run in the national championship. Now he's going into his junior year as the shortstop of the LSU Tigers, and you're well-known. And a burger joint in town says, man, I want to have Ryan Theriot in my TV commercial or radio commercial. And it's, hey, this is Ryan Theriot. When I get time away from the field, I go eat at Walk-Ons. And then Walk-Ons pays you $1,000 a month. What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
That's my point. And there are all of these these doomsday scenarios I keep hearing people say, like, well, what happens when the car dealership says they're going to give someone $200,000 when just a sign and they'll be there? And okay, but number one, if that would happen then, it's happening already, okay? There are kids, recruits, that get paid money to go play college athletics under the table. Okay, we just had a giant federal trial relative to that in college basketball. And yes, your school does it too. I don't care who you cheer for, your school does it too. That could potentially be brought above board. And to think that there's realistically going to be thousands of athletes that have the opportunity to make tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars is just dumb. It's not going to happen that way. You own businesses, like, you're going to go, like, scout LSU athletes. How many LSU athletes would you have actually would be on the radar to endorse your business?
No, I mean, current athletes, none. Yeah.
In the past decade, I could give you Leonard Fournette, Tyrann Mathieu as two major marketable athletes that have come through LSU. Could Joe Burrow get a deal to go, like, do an autograph signing at a sports cards collectible? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Okay. Why not? Well, what happens when there's grad transfers and they're going to get $200,000 to go as a grad transfer to this place? Like, first of all, if you're a grad transfer, it's probably because you ain't that good. Now, there are instances like Jalen Hurts, but typically if you're leaving as a grad transfer, it's because you lost your job somewhere. Mm-hmm. That's why you're leaving, right? Joe Burrow came to LSU as a grad transfer because he got beat at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. So it's not like Tyrann Mathieu or Leonard Fournette is leaving for their senior year as a grad transfer somewhere else. Those guys are already off to the show.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here, man? Like, the doomsday scenario comes from some deep-rooted fear of change that people have. It's different. They're comfortable in the status quo, and they don't want to change. And I'm here to tell you, hey, the water's warm. Come swim in the deep end.
You and I have had this discussion numerous times. The one thing that I hated about professional baseball, professional sports, was the pureness of the game was taken out of it. Because the second that you involve money, now I know this is
it's not involving players getting paid.
No, but
how is this different than the Olympics?
But listen,
Simone Biles can make millions of dollars.
I get it.
Being on Wheaties boxes and Johnson & Johnson and everything else, but she's still an amateur athlete.
She is. And these would be amateur athletes too. These would be amateur athletes.
The idea
of
amateurism is a total farce. It doesn't exist.
Just listen to me. This is what I hated about professional sports. Professional baseball. I can't talk about any of the other ones. You had a hierarchy in the clubhouse. You had dissension in the clubhouse because of that. You had guys that weren't making any money that were outperforming the guys that were making the money.
Okay.
Then
Be better.
Which by the way,
Welcome to life.
you're opening up, and I
Welcome to real life.
I do think that the guys should have the ability to do this. I'm glad I'm not the one that's in charge of figuring out how it works and what are the rules, because there's going to be an issue where the guy you're talking about who's getting the $200,000 blows a knee out, but he signed a contract, and like those are the parts of the professional sport that take the pureness out of it. In college, you don't worry. No, it does happen, but in college, you don't worry about that. You're playing for something bigger and something greater.
You played for something bigger or something greater. Not everybody does.
Right? No, I get it, and that's
you did
that's
because
my
you grew up
experience.
here and that's what you wanted.
And I understand.
But you
that.
also recognize being around enough as a former player, as sort of an ambassador for a place like LSU, that not every student athlete comes through here just dreaming of putting on the purple and gold and wanting to play for the old war school and, hey, fighting tigers and all that stuff. That's not everybody's experience.
But I'm talking about my experience. But also what I just said, my experience in professional sports and why I did not enjoy some parts of it was because that pureness was taken out of it the second money got involved. Now, did it make me not want to play? No, absolutely not. I wanted to play. I wanted to play great, because if I played great, the more money I got, right? Great. But the game itself was different. The most fun that I had playing baseball was at Broadmoor High School. The most fun. There was it was all about the game. We played 7 innings in high school. It was all about those outs, counting down the outs and winning games. We just wanted to beat Woodlawn and beat Catholic and beat Santa Ma and beat this team and beat that team.
That was never happening.
No, we beat them every year. And Jamboree, they wouldn't play us in the regular season. Anyway. And then at LSU, it was still pure, but as I got older, Matt, and it looked like I was going to get drafted, then that changed a little bit, man. Now the thought process is a little bit different.
You mean you had to grow up?
Not necessarily grow up, but you're thinking about yourself a little bit more. It's more of a...
That's life.
No, I understand that. But listen to what I just said.
You don't get to be a teenager forever.
You
grow up.
I understand.
You have life.
No, I understand.
You have value. And you should be able to capitalize on the value. That's a cut and dried question. And as far as like dissension in the locker room, like, do you realize if you walk out this door right here and take a right, there's about a dozen cubicles? That's all salespeople. Mm-hmm. There's salespeople in this building that make more than other salespeople because they sell more.
Right.
That's life. Welcome to life. If you're better, you get compensated for being better.
So you want these 17, 18-year-old kids to grow up?
I want people that have market value to be able to capitalize on their market value. If you are Tyrann Mathieu and LSU can sell your number 7 jersey and you're on ESPN and everybody knows who the Honey Badger is and people are making Honey Badger t-shirts and people are making money off of your name, image, and likeness, then you too should be able to make money off your name, image, and likeness. If Tyrann Mathieu, when he was a student in 2011, he should have been able to make a t-shirt that said the Honey Badger and sold it at TyrannMathieu.com or honeybadger.com and made money.
What do you think?
There's no problem with that.
What do you think that Tyrann Mathieu is going to do with all that money he got?
I don't know.
That guy.
But
I'll tell you what he's going to do with it.
He'll blow it, whatever.
Exactly.
That's not your decision or my decision to make.
But is he ready at that point in his life to manage that?
That is personal accountability. What about a 14-year-old soccer player that goes to the Premier League and goes and plays?
Well, it's why you don't give a 12-year-old a driver's license. They're not ready for that responsibility. You're telling me you're going to take a 17-year-old kid?
What about Macaulay Culkin making millions of dollars doing movies at 7 years old?
Exactly. No, I'm saying
that's not your decision to make. That's his.
But look at him now.
What's he doing now?
Exactly.
Who cares? He's set for life.
I'm going to tell you exactly what he's doing. It's not pretty. My point is that's not
for you to decide.
Let me stop. Let me rephrase it. Because you're right. It's not. I wouldn't have been ready for that.
Okay, you wouldn't have been. And some people need it.
Most of the guys in the clubhouse with me, my experience, would not have been ready for that. I had no idea what taxes were. I had no idea how to budget. I wasn't ready. I had to learn those skills. Those are things that
you learn.
I wasn't taught as a kid.
You learn.
You didn't know.
And
away from home,
the California bill allows you to have representation. So you're not dealing maybe specifically with the business. Like you could hire an agent that can negotiate those deals for you. and then they can help you set
Or
up
you lean
those,
on the
those,
agent for there. No,
those
look,
financial things. Like, there are ways. Why are we so scared of this conversation?
I'm not
it
saying
happens
it's
in
not
all
bad.
different walks of life, but it's like we got to protect like the integrity of Old State U and our precious college football and college and amateurism, and it'll all go down the crapper if we start letting these kids be like you listening. All you care about is that your team keeps playing games and winning games. That's it. The names change on the back of the jersey year after year after year. The only thing you care about is that your team keeps winning. And that's never going to change. Your team's going to keep fielding teams. Your school will keep fielding teams, keep trying to win games. And I'm okay with a student athlete who has market value being able to capitalize on.
What happens to the money that the universities are making right now on those jerseys that we're talking about?
Maybe and I don't know the answer to that. But maybe you stop selling jerseys. Like they don't put the kids' names on the back of the jersey. Or maybe you start putting the kids' names on the back of the jersey. And then they, just like in pros, you get a percentage of the jersey sales.
You know, and the way it works professionally is all that money, the licensing money goes into a pot, and it's dispersed equally throughout every one of the players. I'm just thinking.
You got the same amount that Derek Jeter did.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just thinking, maybe if you did it per sport at the school and everybody gets the same amount of money for that sport, depending on the licensing. I mean, but
first of all, there aren't that many jerseys sold to where it would matter. That's number one. What was so in Major League Baseball? What was your cut annually? What would you get from jersey sales?
Well, it was licensing.
So it was video games,
jersey, video
everything.
games.
Yeah,
I mean, it was about $200,000 every year.
That you personally got. So that's on everything. It's not just jersey sales. I don't think that you could do licensing all the way across the board for student athletes.
Well, could you? You do the NCAA football games again. You know how much money that would generate? Like, there's a lot of things that
I'd be okay with it.
I would too. I don't want you to think that I don't think it should happen. I think it's great, and I think it should happen. I just, man, there's so many things that I personally didn't think about going into professional sports that when I got there, I was like, damn,
Ryan,
this is just different. And I get it. It's me. It's my experience. I understand that.
Not only that, but this isn't professional sports. I'll back to what we talked about. In the last 10 years, I can name 2 student athletes at LSU that had like major marketability. 2 over the last decade.
What does it do to the Olympic athletes? What does it do to the gymnasts, the track athletes?
What if
they now?
So I threw this up too. If you're Sarah Finnegan or Lexi Priestman, one of these girls that had been a U.S. gymnast that maybe doesn't have large scale notoriety, but in that community, people know who they are. Like in the gym community, people know who they are. Like, could they do a deal for one of the apparel companies or a product line or something that would market in category specific, outlets? Maybe. Like, could they be do influencer marketing on Instagram?
That's where it may be huge.
Okay.
That's where it could be huge.
I just don't have a problem with that, man. If you're Sarah Finnegan and you've got 20,000 followers on Instagram and a company contacts you and says, hey, would you market our products for X a month? I have no problem with her being able to get that money. I just don't. I don't see, that's not an evil. That's not corrupting the sport or the integrity of anything. It's not. That's someone who has marketability being able to capitalize on it.
Here's my fear. And you've been in locker rooms. There's a hierarchy in the locker room.
When have I been in locker rooms?
Did you?
Only to do interviews.
Did you play sports in high school?
Yeah.
Okay. And who was the best player on the team?
Well, I mean, if you're talking like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, that's a little different.
Okay, but
we didn't really have superstars on our team.
Okay, let's
this is
Rumble young man Rumble.
Okay.
Gatorade Player of the Year, right?
No, that was Travis Minor, was the National Player of the Year.
Let's do Travis Minor, So his hierarchy is set because of his production on the field, and he's treated a little bit differently by the coaches and treated a little bit differently by the players and maybe the teachers and maybe, you get a guy, Travis Minor, who doesn't perform, but yet he's making that money in college. And financially, he has the endorsements that you're talking about. And now you've created because what happens in a professional clubhouse is just that. You've created the inmates are now running the asylum. Okay. And here's what I'm saying. And here's what I'm saying. Alfonso Soriano is making $25 million a year. If he wants Lou Piniella fired, Lou Piniella's getting fired, right? The second you empower the players financially, and if it's not from the school, I get it. Your point's correct. And that was one thing that we talked about weeks ago, which when you told me that, I was like, oh, okay, well, this makes a little bit more sense. But it doesn't change the fact that the dollars are coming in. And you can take it even a step further. If it's a car dealership that's paying Joe Burrow $100,000, but also they just so happen to have cut a deal to be the corporate or title sponsor for the university and be on the big board, and they're paying the university an extra $750, but they're tied to this guy Joe Burrow, and like there's just so many.
What's the problem?
What if he doesn't perform?
Okay,
right?
then they don't renew his contract.
What if he and O get in a fight? Like, what if there's...
What if you don't perform? Like, what if someone advertises on my show and they don't get results? They don't renew the contract. That's not hard.
Soriano's going to play that year because he's making $25 million.
And Joe Burrow's still going to be the LSU quarterback.
But what if he sucks?
Okay,
and what if that's a year-long quarter? What if it's...
Then bench him.
But listen to me. What if it's a year-long deal, and you're saying bench him, but if you bench him, the car dealership's not going to renew on the big board, so then you keep playing Joe.
Complete separate entities.
I get it. And I know it could be...
Completely.
But is it?
Yes. Those are completely separate entities, and you're not going to set your marketing value based on that. I'm telling you, the idea that you're going to have car dealerships spending $100,000 for a guy's endorsement is probably non-existent. Like, I know what car dealerships in this market spend for their endorsements, and it's not that. Mm-hmm. I know the numbers. Yeah, I never endorse a car dealership. You endorse a car dealership.
Right. I mean, I would never do it.
Okay, you endorse. Okay, you, Ryan. You don't need to disclose your deal with Mercedes, but you, Ryan Terrio, have an endorsement with Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge. You have won 2 World Series. You've won a College World Series. You have been in the public spotlight in this community for 2 decades, and now you do a lot of radio and media. Is your deal with Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge even sniffing $100,000 a year?
No.
Right. Because it's asinine, and that doesn't happen. And people keep fabricating these numbers like, well, the local rich guy's going to give every player $8 million. No, he's not. It doesn't happen that way. This. Like, now I can thank you. I can finally give you a real world life experience.
No, look, I get it.
You just contradicted yourself because now you can see black and white what you make to endorse a car dealership.
No, the amount of the money is irrelevant. I mean,
but
honestly.
It's not.
All right, so what if
it's not? If you're a $100 million business and you're fiddling around with $1,000 here or there, that's not relevant.
What if Joe Rich Guy.
So late.
What if he did that?
Did what?
What if he just said, I'm going to give. What if it started in recruiting? Like, everybody that signs here gets X amount of dollars, and all you, like, I don't know, man. There's just so much. There's so many what ifs that I don't know. I want him to make a little money, man. I get it. I do.
It's not a hard thing to do.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
It's not, and it's not a hard thing to do. Okay, let's do Kick Rocks.
It's now time to Kick Rocks with Ryan Terrio.
Kick Rocks.
Kick Rocks.
NBA can kick rocks because they're so dang sensitive.
What are you looking at? Kick Rocks.
As a matter of fact, the NFL can kick rocks too.
We've got rocks. You know what to do.
In that case, then Matt's going to have to kick rocks.
Now let's see if Ryan Terrio actually prepared for this week's segment.
I'm going to tell myself to kick rocks.
Get on down the road and kick rocks.
South Korea golfer Kim Bio won his second tournament.
I love that guy.
He won his second tournament on the round of KGPA's DGB Financial Group tournament, the Open. They have a couple other words that I don't really know how to say them. But Kim lost his cool on the 16th hole. Cell phone camera goes off like in his backswing. And so my boy Kim turns around and fires the bird.
Polly, there it is. Look.
Yeah.
I love it.
He fires
I
the bird
love
at
it.
him.
I love it. Oh, it's so good.
Which I think is great.
It is good.
But these idiots at the KGPA said my man Kim damaged the dignity of the game in the etiquette violation. It was inappropriate. They fined him $8,000, but the $8,000 is not the problem. The problem is the 36-month
3
ban.
years. Banned him for 3 years.
Kick rocks.
Seriously.
For the
3 years.
bird?
3 years for flipping the bird.
Oh my
I kind of want him to come play in the States now. Just come over. Just give him an exemption. Just let him come play.
Yeah, man.
Happy Gilmore this thing.
3 years
3 years for flipping the bird.
for firing the bird at somebody?
So good.
No, it's not. It's so bad.
I know.
Devin, and I don't know Devin's last name. I'm going to give it a shot here. Dorcio,
Okay.
the high school coach in California. And he got fired because he ran the score up on an opposing team.
How much?
Well, the score's not here, I don't believe. Anyway, here's what happened. This is the kick rock. Score's irrelevant. Ran the score. He took his first string out in the second quarter, put in his second. Took his second string out in the third quarter, put in his third, and then he went on down to the freshman.
Okay.
He scored 3 defensive touchdowns and 2 special teams touchdowns on second and third stringers.
Okay.
The principal and the athletic director walked down on the sidelines and told Devin, stop scoring. Devin said, what do you want me to do? Kneel the ball? They said yes. So here's the problem I have with it. If you think it's more degrading to score than it is just to kneel the ball, you can kick rocks.
Right.
The worst thing that can happen in that scenario is quarterback drop back and kneel with 10 minutes to go.
Agreed.
Like, keep playing the game.
It's like what Les Miles did to Ole Miss. Like 6 minutes to go, taking the knee.
Just start. Yeah. That's good. So you can kick rocks on
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Jeremy Banks.
Good so far, man. It's good.
Jeremy Banks, Tennessee Volunteers, University of Tennessee player Jeremy Banks was arrested. He had some outstanding warrants. I'm not exactly sure. Failure to appear in court. Here it is. Misdemeanor driving with a suspended license. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Made an illegal U-turn. My boy Jeremy Banks got pulled over, got arrested. Then it's where things got hairy. Jeremy Banks went on to tell the cops when he was in the back of the car, where I'm from, we shoot cops. Hey, Jeremy, probably not a good thing to say, especially when they're recording you and they have video of what you're saying. It's a terrible thing. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Where I'm from, we shoot cops. Hey, Jeremy Banks, kick rocks.
Kick rocks. Is it?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to do this one more time. Okay, so Chad Nelson commented, I think where Matt is missing it is that boosters who are business owners and wealthy can offer recruits to use them in their advertising as a way to pay them to get them to go to that particular school. It's a slippery slope. Chad Nelson, I'm not missing it. We've addressed that 8 million times already. My point is, number one, every business owner isn't going to fork over cash to pay every recruit. That's one. If you think that's going to happen, then you're high, because no business owner is going to collectively go spend all that money every year. Number two, there are already recruits that get paid. Can we agree on that? Like, SMU in the 80s isn't the only time it ever happened where recruits got paid, okay? Recruits at your school are already getting paid. All this would do is bring it above board and legitimize it, which I'm okay with. If as a high schooler, you've got some market value, capitalize on it. I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
I'm not going to comment because we'll be doing it for another 20 minutes.
Okay. We got like 10 minutes left. We'll do Ask Us in a second, but I do want your thoughts on. I'm afraid we're just going to start arguing again. Do you like the wild card game in Major League Baseball?
Like the play-in game?
Yes. What happened last night with the Nationals and the Brewers, and what's going to happen tonight with the Rays and the A's. Do you like that format?
So you spend 162 games trying to win your division. Then after you win your division, you go to another round and try to win the pennant. And after that, you go and try to win the World Series, right? I hate the play-in game. I understand why they do it. I guarantee you I've heard this twice today already. Once from Mac and once from Eddie over at Traction. This is the first baseball game I've watched all year. It was great. That's why they do it, because people watch it. It's exciting. It's a winner-take-all type deal. The second wild card to me is so stupid. Now, I've played in this game. I've played in it twice. Or maybe once. Played in it once. And it is pressure. You talk about pressure packed. Like that game is like Game 7 of the World Series. Like that is a every out. So it's a fun game to play in. I don't like giving the second runner up an opportunity to go. So no, to answer your question, long way of answering, I don't like it.
You and I are actually going to agree.
You don't like it either.
I hate it.
Did the Yankees lose a couple years ago in it?
They've won it and lost it.
Yeah, I remember when they lost. You were pissed.
For the same reason. You spend 162 games. From April all the way through September, you play 162 to determine who's getting in the postseason. And the Nationals were 4 games better over 162 than the Brewers. They shouldn't have to go into a 1-game for your season game. They've already proven it over 162. It's counterintuitive for baseball. Baseball, that's why the entire dynamic of a game of baseball changes based on who's pitching that day. The whole dynamic of a game changes based on who has the ball in their hand. That's why you play series in baseball. Not that I'm not preaching to you, but you understand this. I hate conceptually you prove it over 162, and they're like, okay, now it's the same reason I hate college overtime. Football is a game played on a 100-yard gridiron where special teams matter and clock management matters and all that stuff matters. And what college overtime does is it puts you on a quarter of the field, you take the clock completely out of it, and you take special teams out of it. Kicking game, kickoffs, kick returns, punt returns, you take all of that out of it. And you're not playing football anymore. You're playing a scrimmage. You're playing a controlled scrimmage at one end of the field. That shouldn't determine a winner or loser. You play 162, that's it. That should determine your winner or loser.
Did you watch the game?
I did. But I love baseball.
Yeah. I mean, it was intense.
And it was great.
Yeah.
And it is great theater.
Yeah.
But it's patently unfair when you look at how your whole model is built. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it conceptually. If you wanted to add 2 teams, add another round of the playoffs, okay. I mean, I think you're pushing it. That's like the NBA, which now has 4 best-of-7 rounds, but
that's what ends up happening. You just keep adding teams and adding another wild card and adding another wild card.
Okay, I would prefer that if you wanted to add another series as opposed to 1 game. But the 1-game play-in is ludicrous.
It is. I agree. Similar to the College World Series format years ago where it's just 1 game. Which is the only reason why we won.
Tell people about Henry Holmes.
I'm actually getting ready to go meet Henry.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm doing a bathroom remodel at my house.
Okay.
So he sent
You're
the guys
doing
over. No, Henry's doing it.
Henry's doing it.
But we're just picking some stuff out, picking out the tub and measurements and all that stuff. But yeah, in custom homes, you can go to henryhomes.site, check out all his great work. It's not only homes, it's remodels, additions, all that fun stuff. What I look for when I'm remodeling my house or doing my bathroom is a guy that shows up on time, does what he says, and I can trust. And that's what you get with Henry. Need any of those services, henryhomes.site, check it all out. And yeah, there we go.
henryhomes.site. You're going to take the 360 tour. I love that. You know that?
Like the holly right there.
I love how you can do this. You can take the 360 tour. If you go to the website, you can do like the view.
You think he's going to do that with my bathroom today? I want him to put it in a 360.
Look at that. How you can just kind of like look all the way around on that. Isn't that awesome? How you can like tour the whole house like that?
I wonder if he could do that and like add things so I could see what they're going to look like. That's what I'm struggling with. I want to see what it's going to look like before it's actually in there. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. All right, henryhomes.site, henryhomes.site. You want to build a home? Let Henry do it. All right, let's get to your questions here on Ask Us. Andrew Bear says, ask Ryan, what's the best age for girls to start doing weight training for sports?
Earlier than boys, they tend to mature a little bit quicker. I would say, 11, 12, you want to start introducing body weight type stuff so they can learn the movements and the lifts. And then 12-ish, you want to introduce lightweight for sure with females.
Ask us, how many times will the infield fly rule from 2012 be mentioned in the Braves-Cardinals series? Same umpire from that series as the crew chief for this series.
I probably know once. I don't even know who is that. I don't even know what they're talking about.
I don't know. Ask us, how is a one and done ready for endorsement deals, but a college junior and senior not? 19-year-old Zion is more ready than 22-year-old Joe Burrow?
I don't even want to start on it again. I mean, I get it. I understand that. But that's a special case. Like, yeah, Zion might be ready, but what's the danger of the guy not being ready?
What do you mean?
Like, what happens if they're not ready?
For what?
For the money.
They lose their money.
Right. And there's a lot of things that can happen both with addiction and bad life choices. When I've seen it in the minor leagues.
And you can do that away from sports too.
I get it. Not with $1 million, though. Oh, look at Holly Marie. You got that one?
What'd you say?
Holly's getting ready to build her second custom home through Henry Homes. I love my first build, and I'm so excited about this one. Y'all should call Henry.
Call Henry.
See ya, Holly.
What's up, Holly?
Shouting out my boy.
Oh, we got to go. We're so late. Hester needs to get used to the studio.
I got to pee, too, man.
Do you really?
I did.
I had a brain freeze when we
I've
started.
been squirming the whole time.
Have you really got to pee? All right. All right, let's wrap it up. HenryHomes.site. Y'all check him out. It's Riot Podcast. Thanks. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul. Paul O'Neill. Paul. All right, Paul. See you. See you. See you.